Welcome back to Clock's Running, the podcast for everything flag football officials. I'm Jacob.
And I'm Ant.
What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, bro? What was that?
I'm just shaking out some of this little final bits of water from Nashville out of my, out of my head.
You just be doing some swimming.
I mean, we took a little boat back to the to cross the the river to get to the pavilion where we can get our stuff on Sunday. It was great.
Yeah, those were not doctored videos, bro. That was that was like
100%.
I mean, yeah, somebody not realizing that like they were looking at the video of like that the fields were under all of that water would be like, why are you showing me a lake that's getting rained on?
Right. Yeah, it was so bad so fast. It's just wild how quick it went. And the worst part was on Sunday they were telling us that that's not the worst of it. It would be the worst would be about Monday midday. It's probably at this point now starting to rescind back to some sort of semblance of a park, not a lake.
Yeah. Well, at least the grass was really green, I guess, is the good part.
I mean, I get, yeah, okay. You think they would find any fish like in the grass that like came up from the river and just didn't make it back?
Are there what kind of fish swim in the rivers of Tennessee? Do you know?
Trout, bass, water moccasins, those nasty things. Speaking of which, we have a pretty cool guest coming on tonight. I don't want to, talk about snakes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this dude decided to send me the picture of like a king cobra or something. Pause. Some video.
Not pause necessary.
I know it was I don't do snakes.
Is that like your biggest fear? Like, is the thing you're most afraid of is snakes?
Pretty close.
Yeah. What, you got something else?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I have like a legitimate. My fear is car accidents.
Okay. All right. Car accidents. Mine's snakes and little people trying to tell me what to do.
So why do you hang around with Chun so much?
I'm scared.
It's out of fear, huh? Well, well. Anyway, I know that like we got rained out and all that stuff, but Nashville was fun. I did have fun. It was good. I didn't I didn't get to officiate that much in Tampa, so basically the last time I officiated a tournament was Nashville last year. So I was able to get back into it a little bit. My daughter was on the field. I felt like we had a solid crew for the handful of games that we did get before the rain went into place.
We were so close to getting the morning bracket done.
Yeah,
so close.
So close. I feel like there was a lot of good competition there. Both rec and pro as far as fives went. So it was cool. It was cool to see some teams that I had never even heard of, and then also seeing some teams that returned from Nashville last year. They were excited to be back. So I try to look at the positives of that kind of situation. But moving forward, next up is Vegas, and I'm not sure that Vegas has ever had a flood warning.
So I'm going to stop you there. So 2 years ago, I'm flying to San Diego, and I have to connect my flight from Charlotte into Vegas.
Okay.
I'm delayed about 6 hours in Charlotte because of mechanical issues. I get to Vegas. I'm trying to rebook a flight to get to San Diego. I'm trying to get on a plane. There's a storm in Vegas at this time, and pretty much from what they told us, when it does storm, the storm cell doesn't move like it does on the East Coast where it just continues and rides out. It just stays and hovers and circles. So they said when they do get storms, it's bad. And it was. I mean, it was. There's the dirt out there, nothing soaks in. It's all just right on top of it. So they probably get floods a lot worse than what we get.
Oh yeah, I guess I do remember a couple years ago when I was still living in California that California got flooded really bad and Vegas got it too.
Yep.
But there's some hope. I do feel like that's more of a winter time thing. Like when the West Coast winter is basically rain. So I think that's more of you're gonna have that stuff happen like October, November, December kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, yeah. So we're not here to talk all about weather.
No, we're not meteorologists.
Yeah. Although the comments were going crazy on Facebook all about how we should be able to predict weather and all of that.
Everyone's a meteorologist when something doesn't go their way.
Yeah, so
you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. But all in all, like I said, we're looking forward to Vegas and what I think it's hit 400 at this point, right?
We're close. We're pretty close.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a stupid question before we go any further. Where's Jordan?
Okay. Where is Jordan?
Where's the
logo? Country?
Nope.
It's right there.
No. It's just you and me, buddy.
No,
I mean, it's on your shirt.
No. It's on the screen. It is on the screen.
All right, I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah, you don't see it?
No, I wouldn't ask about it if I did.
Point. Hold on. Point up. Right there. It's right there.
No, that's me.
No.
Oh my gosh. All right.
Okay. Well, anyway, so just real quick before we bring on our amazing, fantastic babyface guest for tonight, I do like to just, take a spin around the wide world of flag football real quick. I know last week my voice was kind of failing me. I completed puberty. I'm good. I got hairy armpits. My voice is.
That, but all
right. So let's take a spin around a little bit. If you have anything that I forget, just bring it up. But starting off in California, Tougher. That's the Women's League of Tough. They started week 1. Interesting thing that happened over in Southern California. Top Shelf has taken a season off, so their players kind of have dispersed into other teams, which honestly I think that's a cool thing to do because you help build up some of the teams that are developing. They get to learn from the vets. So I think their initials are KTSE. Keep that same energy is what it is. And Turbo and Becca from Top Shelf are playing with them. So that's cool to see. But she units in the league, and Jonah is gonna bring her very best. She wants to continue to fill up her trophy room out in LA. Air Raid, the other SoCal big league, they had a 20-team tournament. And they had 2 teams I don't know anything about, TSM and Terror Squad, won it. They just get excited. These guys are again, not playing for money by any means. Their rules are crazy, but they have a good time out there. And so I always got respect for Air Raid and Tough because I think that they do their own thing, but they've got a tight community. I don't like their rules, but everything else they're doing is pretty cool. So,
right on.
Moving east, we had in Tucson, Arizona. There's a new league that started out here or out there this past season. In Season is the name of it, and they had their first champs ever, called Them.
I don't get it.
I don't know either, but that's what they were called, and they won. So congratulations to them. Continuing on east, we have the league I always love to talk about, PF3, because that was my home for a good amount of years. The 8-man is kind of looking the way it's been the last 3 years. The Bulls are on top right now. And 5-man, week 1, the Bears, they were kind of iffy. They came back week 2 and they dominated. So they are on top of the 5-man standings right now. Um, should we mention the champs from Nashville or not really?
I mean, you had one group. So you had co-champs. You had the co-champs with Mean Machine and KOA. They were how far were they into their game?
I would say a quarter of the way.
They were probably they're about 3 or 4 minutes in. I think Mean Machine had
Yeah,
gone down and scored, but the game had stopped. The park closed and shut us down and made us wrap everything up. And they came together and agreed to be co-champs and move on and we got a division done.
yeah,
But yeah, it's wild because we had 2 quarterfinal games completed. We had a third that was about to be completed. It was a 2-score game in under a minute. And we had the final quarterfinal game, which was in overtime at that point. I walked up to that field. Whatever. I'll admit, I don't care. I walked up to that field to shut them down, and it was 40 seconds left, and it was tied. And they're like, "Let us try to finish, get something done." And I was like, "Cool, go!" Like,
yeah.
I'm slow walking to the field, go. And they ran out of time, and they got to the end of regulation. We're trying to go to overtime, and I had to shut it down.
Yeah.
It's pretty unfortunate. It was Empire and 313 Rams. Maybe I can't remember who the other team was, but it was. I mean, it was a lot of good competition. If you look at what the schedules were supposed to be across the rest of the weekend, like there was a lot of good games that were supposed to be played. 5 contact was going to be good. 6 contact was going to be good. Air it out coed was going to be good. Air it out coed I was really excited for, only because really on the East Coast we've only done it outside of Worlds and Nationals, never.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited to do it.
Yeah.
But Mother Nature had another plan Mother Nature had another plan. I won't say anybody else did, but so we So
Yeah. I try to, I don't dive too much into it, but I do try to watch some of the comments made on social media or whatever. So before the tournament, some team from, I think they were from Chicago, they were playing in Air It Out Coed, and they were like, is Chris Hughes really good? Or how are we gonna do it? Like, we know he plays men's, but like, is he a co-ed quarterback as well?
and he's dated, he's washed, he's no. Chris is a great guy. He's a great player. Still, in his 50s, he makes 20-year-olds look like a bunch of goofballs. So
I'm telling you, it's amazing the shelf life in flag football. I know that the saying always goes that Father Time is undefeated. Flag football might be pushing that limit.
I think to an extent because there's nobody there to say no. You have to say no yourself.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
good point.
We've got our guest waiting in the lobby for 13 minutes now. He's probably getting pretty impatient. He's probably ran out of his biltong or Wu-Tang or whatever he's eating on.
He might be onto his second bottle of wine.
He probably is on his second bottle of wine. Without further ado, bring in our island boy. Bring him in, babyface Dean.
What's up? Good to be back, boys. Good to be back.
It's been so long.
Man. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting an invite till season 17 in fucking 2040.
Jesus Christ. Turn his camera back off.
Yeah.
Turn back in the waiting room. Let's see if
you're the one that rushed him back in.
It's been 15 minutes.
I'm live, coming to you live from Lance's living room, apparently.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, Lance will pop out and play the piano for us. Give us a little tune, if you will.
Yeah, Jacob rudely interrupted me, but I was going through, what's going on in flag football. So, Dean, I just want to start you off, give you the opportunity, and talk about what's going on in the Cayman Islands.
So yeah, it's been fun. We're about to head into week 5 of our annual coed league. The coed league is the best league that we do by far. Like, it's the most popular. Teams always want to join. They always want to play because it's a great vibe. It's Friday night. They come out to the field. They have fun. They play flag, and then we'll all go out afterwards. So We're heading into week 5 of that now. It's been a pretty good season. We started off. We were gonna do a victory and elite division, but we didn't have as many elite teams sign up. More victories. So what we did was we combined the two and just had one league. So we have one league, which is awesome. We're still trying to figure out how we're gonna do the playoffs. There's a couple routes. Obviously, because the victory teams have to play the elite teams in the season. We want to make it fair for everybody. So we're looking at a way where all 11 teams can make the playoffs, and we can do a little bracket format where the top 4 will play for gold. The 5th seed will get a first round bye, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 will play each other in the playoffs, and then the gold will play, and then the silver cup and gold cup. So we're looking at a way to work it just so that we can keep those teams that were in victory still give everybody a fair chance, because some teams play a lot of elite teams, some teams don't. So it's just the way it's going to work out. But it's going great.
So give us a quick rundown of how you guys format your divisions. So like for USA Flag, we have Pro, Comp, Rec. Sounds like you said Victory, Elite.
And Elite, yeah. So elite teams.
It's some South African thing for Pro, probably.
First of all, my man Dean's talking. All right.
I wanted to help him out. I know how things work. So go ahead, Dean. Let Jacob, who's unaware of how things work in the Cayman Islands, let him know. Let's fill him in.
So elite, basically, the criteria is, when we first started out with the elite, it's if you play on the national team, you can sign up for elite. If you play on the national team, then we don't really expect you to play for victory teams, because victory teams are more those that are looking to have fun. So victory teams are for those that are some players who are new to the game. Those are looking to have fun. The elite is the more serious, way too competitive, if you ask me. I don't get it, because there's no prize at the end. It's just a trophy. So I don't get why it's so competitive for what it should be. And I can understand why teams are frustrated in victory that have to play elite teams, because the victory teams are not looking for that. They're looking for a fun time, a good time, new players coming into the league. And that's the thing we're trying away from, because with victory, you have new players that are coming into the league, and now they got to go up against national team players that are way too competitive. So we try and there's not really a set criteria, but it's mainly if you're new, you have to play on victory. If you're, you don't have to, but we suggest that victory stays for new players and rookie players who just want to have fun. Whereas elite is more so for those serious type competitive players.
Be honest, Jacob, did you think victory was pro or less than elite?
I know. The way he was talking, I knew elite was the top division. I just wanted to make sure I was clear.
Okay.
So what does victory mean in the Cayman Islands then? Is that like who came up with the word victory for that?
Yeah.
It was a board decision. We floated a couple names around.
What was something that didn't make the cut?
God, I can't remember.
Tobacco.
We floated a rec around. We floated the rec around, but rec was like, yeah. So it was victory. It was. I'd have to go back in the chat and look. It was so long ago. Probably turtle eat.
I mean, you guys have sea turtles, right?
Absolutely. We have a turtle farm where you can go visit turtles and pet and swim with turtles.
So what kind of seeds what do the seeds look like for the farm?
What do you mean? No, there's no.
You said you have a turtle farm. So the farm,
it's like live turtles kept in the tank. Come on, Jacob, keep up.
Yeah. So, but you have the seeds for the turtle. You just said it's a farm.
It's a live turtle. It's the Cayman Turtle Center. Let me rephrase that.
Oh, that's different.
It's like an old person home.
They're
turtles.
They retired turtles.
Rehabilitate turtles there. So yeah, it could be.
Oh, so
that's cool.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be one of the places Sonia and I visit when she's down. Her and her sister.
Are there volcanoes in Cayman Islands?
No, we don't even have a mountain. We have like literally the highest point is probably I think the highest point on the island is about 8 feet above sea level. Like the whole island is just flat.
Oh, that's like the Appalachian Mountains.
I don't know anything about that. Never been there.
First of all, I don't know what the Appalachian Mountains are. It's the Appalachian Mountains.
I thought it was the
Well,
Apple
they're not.
Mountain. Same thing.
They're not mountains, Dean. Just so you know, they're not mountains. Okay, they're
One of
they're
the
Trail.
hills.
Isn't it like a trail?
Yeah, it's like yes.
If
Don't
the trail,
Like
the
go
trail
down
takes
and
like
you ain't coming out alive.
it's
Is that
no,
the
it's
word?
like 15 minutes, bro. It takes 15 minutes to get through the Appalachian Trail.
Well, that's if you get through the Appalachian Trail.
it actually
That's if you get through.
oh my god, you two are saying Appalachians are probably nuts.
That's if you get through, because you're not guaranteed to get through.
My brother-in-law has done it 1.5 times, man. It's a trek.
Whoa. What do you mean a half?
He started in Georgia, got to about Pennsylvania.
Hey, hold on. Lance, those hot pockets are supposed to be done by now, bro. Please, I'm hungry. Thank you.
Oh, the best thing
No,
if
it's taking him so long. They only take 2 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
With the guy.
Okay, anyway, so
get this show back on the rails.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying. It's just I can't believe how you got really sensitive about that, Jacob. Is that like your song? You were like, I just want to say Appalachian, and he gets like 10 around you. Is it like moist? Does it really bother you?
Don't say that word. Does bother me.
Pause.
That word 100% bothers me.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway, so Dean, anything else you want to tell us about the Cayman Islands coed? I just before you start, I just want to say this. Shout out to what is it called? CAFFLAMNA. What's your federation called?
CIFA, CIFFA, Cayman Islands Flag Football Association.
Yeah, shout out to them. They they share us, they follow us on Instagram. Some local refs don't even do that. So I appreciate what you guys do in the Cayman Islands, and I think it's great. You are growing the game at the ground level. So anything else you want to share about the co-ed league?
Well, we had a big game this past week that I had spent like a week trying to figure out the ref crew for it, because I know I call it the Crybaby Bowl, because it's a bunch of adults that basically should be wearing diapers when they play.
Hey yo.
Yeah, hey yo. So it was the Red Stripe Assassins versus the Bird. The Bird are the defending champions. The quarterback that played with the Bird last year left the Bird and actually plays with Red Stripe now. So we knew it was going to be a heated game going in. So I selected the crew. We started the game. It started off okay, and then just like a train, just derailed quickly. It was the Birds started going down, and then they started losing, and they just started playing dirty. They do it a lot, and I'm calling them out for it because they do it, and they thought they were going to get away with it, and they didn't. So the flag started flying. It was a play where one of the Red Stripe female receivers went for the ball, and male defender just literally went straight through her. And she went down. She didn't get up. I had to call a timeout. All 4 refs flags threw in. I mean, I was in the R position. I was like 30 yards down the field, and I pelted my flag straight down because I had a clear view of it, and I'm like, we're not doing this today. Call a personal foul, set at half the distance to the goal from the dead ball spot. There was another one where it was more of a bang. So it was, they know how to try and get away with it, but 9 times out of 10 they get called for it. And there was a couple calls that didn't go the Birds' way. And one of the quarterback for the Birds stepped on the field once and was like, Dino, come on, you got to be kidding me. You got to be fucking kidding me. And I'm like, all right, do it again, and I'm giving you 15 yards. A few plays later, he did it again. He came on the field, and I think that was the highest I've ever thrown my flag. It might have hit the moon and came back down. Just saying.
You guys have the moon in the Cayman Islands?
Yeah, of course we have the moon in the Cayman Islands.
Okay.
So I flagged him for 15, and then it was very rowdy. So I got to figure out a better way to control that rowdiness without administering. Like, I don't want to turn it into a laundry fest, but if I have to, I have to. So just going forward, I just got to learn. I don't know. I mean, refs are still learning, right? Like, there are calls that are going to get missed, but as our code of conduct says, you got to respect the referee's decision at all times. Like, it's not that deep. It's a fun league. Like, let's just have fun and play football. And I think alcohol before the game does it too. Like, when they drink before the game, that does it.
Yeah, alcohol doesn't help. I will say that that's always kind of been something that's bothered me within coed is that I feel like I don't know because I never played coed, but just what I'm piecing together, it just feels like there's a situation that happens during coed games. They get ultra competitive, and a female player happens to catch a pass or have a good play against a male player, and that ego flips on, and then they don't care about a player's safety after that. And I've seen it far too many times. Jacob, do you think that that's different in coed, or did you play coed at all?
It's a little bit. So I think there's a double standard almost. Most females want to be treated equally, and they absolutely should. They want this. They don't want the guy who's playing quarterback to lollipop the pass or to try to turn awkwardly to get their flags pulled. They want the females to be treated the exact same until there's a bang bang play on the field where there's a collision or something happens. I'll say this, like, probably 60% of the time it's incidental. It's not on purpose. People are just playing football. They're making a football move. And then the second that happens, everything is immediately, that's a female. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? That's wrong. There's a double standard with it. And I struggle with it because when you're already putting you're already creating a recipe for disaster by putting them on the same field together. I don't feel like you can have the same. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. So
yeah, for me, coed is one of, like, I don't like reffing it for that exact reason. Like, I honestly hate coed divisions because you have a 6'2", 6'4" defender going up against a 5'5" female. Of course, if the receiver's going for the ball and he's covering her, of course there's going to be contact. And as a ref, it's a hard ass job to try to determine whether that was incidental or whether it could be intentional. So I really don't like coed formats, but it, like, to ref, like, watching and playing is great, but reffing is a nightmare. Plus,
yeah, because we've had this conversation before with one of the other guests that came on, and they mentioned that like a receiver on their team, she's 6 foot and she doesn't get any calls because of her height, which I've never looked at it that way as far as, like, okay, this player is this or this player is that, and I'm going to call it differently. But I know that there are things that kind of factor in, just like you said, Dean. If somebody is a certain size, was their contact incidental just because they're that size, or was there intent to it? Jacob, do you think that that's kind of correlates with how coed is played? That it's the same as, like, calling based on size?
No, I think you have to be consistent. If you wouldn't call something in men's or in women's, why would you change your call in coed? You have to be consistent. Just because Shaquille O'Neal's covering Simone Biles doesn't mean that if they want to go have fun, running fades down the field, that's on them. It's not on us to try to tell them, what to do. There's football that comes with it. Anything that's egregious, you got to call it. But there's football aspects of it where there's going to be incidental contact. There's going to be the little stuff, and it looks a lot worse when it's that size difference.
Yeah. No, definitely. And as far as like once you get into like pro co-ed in Tampa, I mean, everything's just amplified. But the guys are, the amount. If you look at the rosters of the men's pro teams, the amount of guys that have either played arena football or Canadian or NFL or D1, and so it's hard. I see their side of it. It's hard for them to be on a football field and turn off that mentality to try to protect, a female player, but in the same way, not let them score. It's a recipe for disaster. For sure.
See, I think that's unfair. That's unfair to ask somebody who's playing a game to change how they play just because of the player on the field. Not saying you shouldn't go out there and try to kill anybody, male, female, cat, dog, Shrek, Fiona, potato, tomato, Ray Romano. You shouldn't want to do any of that. But I think you have to be able to, play within the bounds, and you have to stay consistent with what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say this with Tampa, like, sorry to cut you, but with Tampa, like on the Sunday when I was assigned the air it out co-ed women's and then the air it out men's, or the air it out women's and the air it out men's, I was looking so forward to it, like riffing all those games, and then the weather just came in and was like, nope, you're not doing this today. And I was like, I was real pissed, because I was like, that's like you said, the talent on those teams are incredible. And I was working with Lance, like, what was it not to like? And I was just like, because I haven't done my Tampa rundown, I'll keep it quick, but like Tampa was the best tournament I've done, and I look forward to next year. But I was so pissed that I didn't get to do the air it out divisions on Sunday, the pro, because I was
Wait, you still did the bracket? We still did the bracket.
No, but it was the games. Like, I wanted to soak it all up, man. I was like, clearly the turf didn't do that. I
was going to say you could soak everything up on your own. I mean, but we had plenty of rain, man. I mean, you were out there in your what's the shoes called? The gibbets, the canes.
Yeah,
the candy cane shoe. Yeah, you're out there in your candy canes out of uniform, but hey, it's fine.
Hey,
everybody's out of uniform at that point. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of being out of uniform, Dean, just a quick question. Do hoodies have pockets?
Do hoodies have pockets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold up. You're telling me every hoodie has a pocket?
No, so that's why I specified. I said certain hoodies have pockets.
Certain hoodies have pockets, Ant.
Okay, fair enough. Any as you're soaking in the air it out men's division, looking back, was there any hoodies that had pockets that maybe you didn't notice?
Probably, because I was too busy trying not to tear my ACL in mud.
Well, don't wear the cane gibbet shoes.
It didn't matter what you wore in that crap. Hey, Dean, if you had to be one Shrek princess from Shrek 2, who would it be, and why would it be Snow White?
Who would it be, and why would it be Snow White? It wouldn't be Snow White.
Okay, well then answer the question.
I'm gonna go with the OG. I'm going Princess Fiona, bro. I don't know. Like,
she wasn't a part of the princesses that were fighting.
Hold on,
doesn't matter. I'm gonna be the ugly stepsister.
I'm so confused right now.
I'll take the ugly stepsister.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. Have you seen Wreck-It Ralph, Jacob?
Yeah.
The second one?
Yeah.
Is Isn't
It's
that kind of similar to Shrek?
no, dude. If anything, it's like what's the movie with Tom Hardy? Mel Gibson made it originally. The movie where they drive the car.
Gee, that narrows it down. Thanks.
What is that?
Who drives the car? Mel Gibson?
Yeah, they all drive the car. It's Mad Max. It's Wreck-It Ralph 2 is basically Mad Max, but like for princesses.
Oh, okay. All right, that's cool. Nice. Fair enough. All right. Well, that was cool. I feel like I learned so much about the Cayman and the fact that drinking before a flag football game is not good. I never realized that could be something that could be negative.
You never did that before
Well,
a flag game?
it depends. I mean, like, I don't. Yeah, but the only thing, but you guys need to come down. When are y'all coming down to visit me? Like, let's go.
It's a tournament that we come down to.
Yeah, man. It's supposed to be a tournament now.
I'm hoping we get the I Cup. I've got my selection crew for my refs done. Hopefully, like I can get the 12 that I want. If not, I'll be consulting Trusty Jakob over there to help me bring down the best who I can get.
I think we ought to consult that from the beginning, make sure that 12 is the right 12.
There might be a couple people on there who I think you're gonna be like, well, man.
Speaking of international tournament, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the LFA in Mexico is having their second professional tournament. So I don't want to rag on the lack of a professional flag football league in America and how an organization has tried and failed doing that. But in Mexico, this is now their second tournament that they've done, professional tournament. And I'm excited about it. I was able to watch basically every game the first time they had it. Great competition, and it looks like a lot of the big names in Mexico women's flag are going to be back. I'm excited to see if the Raptors can repeat. There won't be, of course, because those players from the United States are all at trials this weekend. They won't be, participating in this tournament, but it's exciting. I think there's so much going on in international flag football right now. Everybody is looking towards, the World Games in China, and then, as far as this hemisphere goes, the Continentals for the Americas will be in Panama this year, later on in the year. So there's definitely a lot going on. Hey, shout out to the London Legends. They've come to a few tournaments and done okay as far as Canadian teams go, but they won a big tournament in Canada recently as well, so that's cool. And I think this brings us to the next thing, kind of the hot topic in flag football right now that everybody's talking about, and that is the trials that is happening this weekend. We had this past weekend there was junior trials. And already we see who made the U15, U17 team. Jacob, I want to remind you that the United States did not win the Junior International Cup this last year. Maybe that's foreshadowing of what is to come over the next few years as far as international play goes.
Can you spell foreshadowing?
FORESHADOWING.
I mean, you could have just said yes.
Oh, okay, my bad. Sorry. I thought you asked me to spell it. Anyway, before we get into talking about kind of the 60 people of men's and women's, there is something I just want to kind of bring up. We do have, a pretty fun segment, or, I don't know what you call it on social media. What's the call, that we continue to post clips of penalties or possible penalties, or is this a catch, a touchdown? What is this, blah, blah, blah. And we've started to have both international officials and officials from America participate, as well as players from all over the place. Tackle players, flag players, men's, women's, anything like that. But there does seem to be a continued discrepancy when international officials comment compared to maybe players that they have zero experience with international play. So to be clear, international play is governed by IFAF, and their rule book is very clear on contact. And so, it's I just want to point out probably the thing that brings the most attention. Jacob, in USA flag rules, what is illegal contact? What's the assessment of that?
It's a 5 yard from the spot, and we're going to keep it moving. Automatic first or loss of down.
There you go. So the big difference is in IFAF, illegal contact is 10 yards from what the worst position is. So if it's the spot, if it's the line of scrimmage, or if it's spot, generally it's usually the line of scrimmage. So for example, a receiver downfield 15 yards catches the ball, they turn, and instead of avoiding the defender, they run through them. It is illegal contact 10 yards from the line of scrimmage. All that yardage is lost.
That's wild.
So that's why flopping has become. That's why flopping
is Dean's beef jerky.
So that's why flopping has become kind of a big part of the game. Is that as a defender, why would you not want to try to get that penalty to happen? And so you try to make it look like there was contact. So that being said, for people that watch this show and watch the clips, just keep that in the back of your head when someone comments from an IFAF perspective. They are speaking correctly about the rules and how the assessment goes. It's just very different from the United States. So,
speaking on that topic, actually, like that video you posted of the one where Lance set the perfect pick play on offense. So many people got that call wrong. It's not impeding. Once there becomes contact, it's no longer impeding. The amount of people that said impeding is like, I know it's terminology and everything, but you got to get the call right if you're going to get it right. But I just kept seeing impeding. And I'm like, it's not impeding. Like once contact occurs, impeding falls by the wayside. It then becomes illegal contact. So that was an interesting observation to make, that a lot of people said impeding when it should really be illegal contact.
Yeah, and we can't really even see if it's in the backfield. Jacob, do you think that was in the backfield or like right on the line? Hard to see, right?
Yeah.
I could have thrown 4 flags on that one play, easily.
Do you carry 4 flags?
No, I carry 2, like the requirement.
Okay.
So
I'll use my bean bag and I'll use my hat. So I'll use my bean bag and my hat as the other 2.
Dean's throwing around his bean bag.
Hey, I'll say, as far as Lance goes, I mean, he's the one that sent us that clip, so he had no problem showing that he committed a penalty. He was more talking about the other stuff going on, but
someone on that thread actually called out Lance for setting a big play.
Yo, for sure, but go ahead, Jacob.
I was going to say, do people not realize Lance is human?
Yeah, and he's a veteran.
And he's from the Bay Area.
And I don't know.
And he hasn't gotten me my Hot Pocket.
And he still ain't got Dean his Hot Pocket.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, so let's get into it. This is going to be fun. There are, lists floating around. Some of them have Legos on them. Some of them don't. But it's the list of all the players that were invited to trials this weekend. 60. I know that number has grown over the last few years. I think at one point it was only like 24 or something. So they're aware that there's.
It's not 48?
My understanding is it's 60.
Oh. I couldn't tell there was a giant Lego on the list when I looked at it.
Yeah.
I got the list. I made sure to bring the list.
Dean brought the list.
He brought a bottle of wine, a bill of jerky or whatever, and
Bill
the list.
Tongue. Yeah.
Bill Tongue.
Bill Tongue, the list, and a bad attitude.
Great attitude. I got a great attitude.
So just I want to point out a few things because I was definitely like looking over the list and kind of like doing some study and some researching. Some interesting facts to throw at you guys as far as like the difference between men's and women's, and I just want to talk about this a little bit. So with the women's, let me throw these numbers at you.
Real quick,
The women's.
the first difference is that it's men and women.
Hey, bro. Hey.
I'm just letting you know. You said there was differences. I just want to make sure we all there was a yeah. All right, go ahead. Throw the numbers at us.
All right, so under 20 years old for the women's trials, there's 21 players under 20. From 20 to 25, it's also 21 players. 26 to 30, there's 9, and 31 plus, there's 9. So, very clearly, there's a lot of youth trying out for the national team this year on women. Now, the men's is almost the exact opposite. Under 20, there's only 4. 20 to 25, there's 8. 26 to 30, there's 29. And 31 plus, there's 19.
Wow.
So, I either one of you, Dean, what are your thoughts? I mean, just hearing those numbers.
Okay. Hey, let me take a sip of my wine. So, I think it's fantastic that the women's side. I think obviously the women's side has a lot brighter future than the men's, because obviously, like, you can only go do, like, if you're looking at these lists, the ages of the men's, like, they need more younger talent because the Olympics are coming up in 4 years. You're not going to have that list will be nowhere near the same come the tryouts in 2028. So I think that the women's side is doing far better with the talent that they got, because the talent on that side is insane. And if I'm being perfectly honest with you, the talent on the men's side is they're getting picked because of their name, not because of the talent. So that's just my thought. I mean, you're getting picked because your name is who your name is. Like, it's not because of your talent. And that is the complete opposite on the women's, because I think the women is starting to get chosen because of the talent of who they are, because they're incredible.
Jacob, any thoughts on kind of the disparity?
I mean, I completely disagree with that. I think Pat and George have done a fantastic job of not playing favorites and getting people out who are household names and bringing in true talent. There was a lot of that before early on, and and Hollywood was one of the first ones to start making these dudes try out, and then George and Pat picked right up with the torch and kept on where they made these guys show their worth. So I completely disagree with that statement. Those guys are there because they're talented. They're not there because they're household names. If they were household names, you'd have guys in rec that were still showing up. Now that's not to discredit the women's side, because you're absolutely right that there's talent there as well. And I think the women's have done an even better job of getting the household names out and getting the what's going to work best together. I think they took the 2022 World Games and they and took off with it and really revamped everything and made it better. So
yeah. Well, I mean, I'd probably fall in the middle of both of you guys in this. I think
America, we know.
I mean, hey, you bring up the 22 World Games where Mexico won. The biggest flag football game ever played, but no big deal. Anyway, so no, what I see is that in the game is so different for women's flag football. It is now almost, I think it's close to 30 states are sanctioned or something like that. Anyway, the number is continuing to grow as far as a high school sport for women's flag football. Colleges, you can now get, we saw Kilolo becoming the first flag football player to get a D1 scholarship for flag football. So there is so much support in building up the youth in that. And there's not yes, there are women that play tackle football. Much respect to them. Give them all the credit for jumping in there and wearing pads and everything like that. But it's very different with the culture and mentality with men's football. Is there is still another option, and so until flag football has $1 million contracts, if your driving force is to make it to the NFL, you're not going to pick flag football over tackle. And so I think maybe that's an aspect of why there isn't a lot of youth, because a lot of youth in men's and boys are still playing tackle football. What do you think, Jacob?
You figure the average age between 16, we'll say even I'll back it up even further, between 14 and 22 is still within that window where they can go and play tackle football, at high school level, at college level. Because you think you go from high school where you drop down to 3% of all high school football players will play some sort of collegiate football. And from that 3% that's in college football, only 1% will go on to play professional football. And that's just making a roster. That's not making a 53. So you have to keep in mind that once their dreams end, they've got to have somewhere to go. Some of them go and pay that $150 to go play semi-pro and wear 3 different styles of uniforms just to get to one play or one team. But you have a lot of them that are starting to transition into flag, and people are picking these guys up right out of college. So I think you'll start to see it, but that age range between 14 and 22, you're not going to see a ton of flag players. The life cycle of a flag player probably starts at 23. That's coming from like college or the NFL.
Yeah, and the opportunities, like not only just as far as like being able to play in high school and college as a woman, now we're talking about NIL deals, and so if those possibilities are there, also there's another aspect that is more available for men than women, which is 7v7 passing league. And so there's even still another option outside of flag, even though none of us really like that. But that does provide another. Yeah, but it does provide another option. And even though my personal opinion, I don't think passing league will really has a huge factor on who Alabama is going to pick up. They sure sell it that way. And so if you are a kid that has potential to get offers, you gotta play the game. And so if you're being told, hey, you got to do passing league to try to get more offers, they're going to do it.
Dean, do you guys have tackle football in the Cayman Islands?
No tackle.
You don't have high school tackle football, anything like that?
Nope, none of that. No high school, nothing. Just only thing we have is flag. That's it.
So
you had a good question. I was going to ask you a really stupid question. You go ahead, Jacob.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Ask your dumb question.
What's the national sport of the Cayman Islands?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. You'll never believe you'll never guess what it is, but
soccer.
Nope.
Cricket.
Wrong.
Table tennis.
Bowling.
The national sport used to be soccer,
Ultimate
and then they
frisbee.
changed it. They changed it to swimming.
Pickleball. Swimming.
But you're on an island. How can you? Do you guys? Okay, hold on. All
right. Jordan Crooks. That's all you need to know.
No, it's Jordan Calicut. He's the guy who.
Jordan Crooks was the Cayman swimmer that went to the Olympics, and he actually he's a beast of a swimmer. And because of that whole fame and surrounding of that, they actually changed the national sport in the Cayman Islands from soccer to swimming.
So do you guys have pools in the Cayman Islands?
Yes, of course.
Why?
We have
Why?
There's we actually have an Olympic sized swimming pool.
It's just one?
Just one. There's one, and then but we do have a couple swimming organizations that have their own pools. So there's quite a few. Almost every house, there's a lot of houses in Cayman that have pools too.
Do you do water aerobics, Dean?
No, I did not do water
Why?
aerobics. I did not do water aerobics. I can
The-
probably tell you in about 16 years that I've lived on this island, I've been to the beach probably 8 times total, maybe.
Do you not like the sand? The sand get in
Sand
places
is
you
just-
don't like it?
Yeah, I don't like the sand, man. The graininess of the sand, I don't like it. I don't like it. I prefer pools.
Oh man, yeah, but
Pools and hot tubs.
Jacob, I think you forget the fact that the Cayman Islands is just barely bigger than Winston Salem.
That's
Like-
my point.
I don't even think we're bigger than Winston-Salem. Are we bigger?
You're
I don't
14
know.
square miles. No.
No, we're not even bigger.
No.
Oh, okay.
No way near bigger. We're 21 miles long by 7 miles wide. We're not bigger.
But they have so many pools because people don't go to the
So
beach.
many
I
pools.
guess.
No one likes their toes in the water or their butt in the sand, I
Yep.
guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Right.
What are you looking up, Jacob? You got
It's 147 square miles, Dean. Winston-Salem's bigger than that.
There you go.
But wait a minute. Does that include like all the islands? Is the
No, that's
147?
No, that's just Grand Cayman.
That's just
Oh.
the Cayman Grand
Grand
thing.
Cayman.
Yeah, that one. That one.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's cool. What about triathlons? That's got to be a big deal because you actually swim in the ocean for
What do they have to do? Like 12
Yeah.
laps around the island?
that.
Yes, there
Oh,
are
man.
triathlons.
I just feel like every time Dean's on, we just have to because we can't use Google for some reason. We just have all these questions about Cayman Islands that we were waiting to ask. It's really.
Any other questions about the beautiful islands?
No, I don't think so. I want to move into back into trials, and
Yes.
I just want to talk. I want to talk about two different positions. When I started traveling and playing flag football, taking it more serious. Something that somebody explained to me at one point is the two positions that are the most important on the field is the quarterback and the rusher. Okay, so I want to talk about those two positions. I want to start off with just talking about the fact that you see on this list, like everybody has two positions, which I know that there's like some questions about that, but I don't think that's so crazy because if you look at anybody that pro team, they generally can play quarterback, wide receiver, safety, DB. I mean, they floated around. I think anybody that's played flag football has been in a situation where you only have you and four players show up, and you have to play both sides of the ball. So you get used to those things. Sometimes you don't need to send you're going up against an immobile quarterback, and so your rush doesn't have to be the fastest guy. You just throw somebody out there. So I don't think it's crazy, but we'll talk about the fact that there are positions, listed multiple positions for players. Starting in QB, I'm just going to list these guys off. There were 10 guys that had quarterback listed in their name. We had Nico, for quarterback for grown-ups, Brendan from Runnin, Tone from Vibe Up, Hoosh, we all know Hoosh. He was repping this past weekend, if anyone noticed. Brendan Feinstein from Supreme, Ant from New Dynasty, Kellen K. Call,
Kellen Cassell.
Oh, okay. Who is that?
He's from Texas.
Oh, okay.
He's from the
And-
Dallas area.
Oh, okay. That was the only guy that I didn't recognize his name. We have Rello and Richie, both of them from Texas, and then Pablo to kind of round it out. So 10 quarterbacks. Dean, any thoughts on those names or anything you want to say about that position as far as the men's team goes?
I mean, I just, like Jacob said, Pat and George are great coaches. Obviously, they're coaching the national team for a reason. I just think that out of those names, it's gonna be real tough for them to decide. It's gonna be really, really tough because obviously I haven't refed as many of those players, so I'm more familiar with the women's side than the men's. But obviously I've refed Ant. I've seen Hoosh. I've seen Pablo. So it's gonna be real tough. Honestly, I can't say who's gonna be starting quarterback until trials are done, because the quarterback's a position that you can come out one day and just have an absolute flop, and then the next day you come out and you can have a great day. So I honestly can't say who's gonna be the quarterback for that team, or for the U.S. team, and who's gonna be the backup, but. Because they're gonna have a real tough time deciding.
Yeah. Jacob, anybody surprise you or anyone you think that they missed out of those 10?
I think they invited too many.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot to get eyes on. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, Hoosh and Pablo are going to be tough to get past, and all of these guys are talented, in some respect.
Yeah.
I'd be curious who's going to be the third that they bring back. So actually, and I'll say this: so I wouldn't count Pablo in this list.
Yeah.
Pablo is more. He's just an athlete, right? So I would take him out of this grouping. With the rest of these guys, though, you're going to bring Hoosh back, obviously.
100%. Hoosh, 100%.
I think you bring Nico back if he has a good weekend.
Do you give Ant a shot?
You got Feinstein, who's a winner. You got, you got Richie, who's a winner. Yeah, Richie's up and coming.
Let me ask you this: what about Nico makes you say like right away you got to bring him back?
He was brought back last year. I'm just thinking recency.
Okay. I got you.
To that team.
Yeah.
You bring those two back, and you bring one. It'd be interesting to see who the third is they bring back.
Yeah.
I'm not even counting Pob in that. But I'd be curious.
Yeah, because he's going to earn a spot in another position.
Agreed. He's a 10 position player. You can put him anywhere on the field, and he's going to be successful and better your team.
Yeah. I mean, and I think to your point, I guess this is, Dean, this is my question to you. What do you really like? What would Hoosh, you talk about having a bad day. Hoosh would have to have a completely, he would have to have 2 bad weekends for them to even consider. I mean, at the end of the day, he is still at the top of his game.
Absolutely.
I mean, he is a player that takes over any game that he is on the field for, and he is also somebody that can play any position. So, what do you think would happen? Like, if you're sitting down, Dean, you're sitting down with Ant and Richie, yeah, and you're like, hey, this is what you have to do to beat out Hoosh. What do you think? What would you say to these guys?
Honestly, I don't want to diminish their spirits before they start, but you're gonna have to. I don't think there's anything that says that Hoosh probably won't be the quarterback for the team, the starting quarterback, because like you said, he takes over a game, right? When he plays, he's incredible. He's an athlete, and there's a reason that he is as good as he is. And I think that I don't want to diminish their hopes before it's even started, but if you're going in there, I think all the other quarterbacks are going in to be a backup.
Yeah.
To Hoosh.
Well, and it's interesting as far as if you look at we're not talking about USA flag tournaments. If you look at international play, there's not an offense that functions like the United States does. Most of the quarterbacks for other countries are not very mobile. They have a lot of tackle experience. There's not a lot of I know Mexico runs it, and there's a couple other teams that do run 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the backfield. But generally speaking, I would say that a lot of the countries just back their quarterback up as far as they have a long snapper that can snap it to him, and he sits in the pocket and hopes that he doesn't get sacked. So Jacob, do you think that there's a point where Pat and George are like, let's if this is international play, we don't need a mobile quarterback? or are they happy with what they got?
No, I think they're happy with what they got. I mean, look at it. You have a guy who, when he played on the national team at first, when he first came onto the scene, he was a rusher and he was the center. He was not QB1.
Yeah.
He waited. He did his time, and he earned that role. And he understands that you got to earn it year in and year out. Just like Ronald Forbes and the Olympic track athlete from the Cayman Islands. And Dean's laughing, but I think I know more about Dean's history than he does. You know who Ronald Forbes is?
Probably. Yeah, I do, but you probably do know more than me.
I have his jersey in my study.
Why would you have track athletes?
Anyway,
get back on topic, Ant. Jeez, we're talking about something serious.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, it's okay. But no, to the point, like they're not going to change. What they've been doing has been clearly working. Why would you even consider, completely revamping and completely changing it up to? I mean, you're dominating as it is. Why would you limit yourself, if that makes sense?
No, for sure. And I guess that, I mean, you brought up the point of maybe they brought out too many quarterbacks. I mean, I guess that to me, you're absolutely right. I think, and I agree with you. Like, why would you change what's working? But in that same thought process, why bring out 9 other players to think that they might be able to beat out Hoosh when you could bring out 9 other wide receivers? And of course we're not the ones making this, these decisions, but I feel like wide
receivers living room.
Yeah. Dean, do you think they should have brought out more wide receivers or more safeties instead of bringing out 10 people for quarterback? Dean?
My headphones chipped out there. I didn't like this communication thing. Sorry.
Oh, I just asked you. Yeah, I just asked. Do you think they should have brought out more receivers or safeties than 9 other guys that clearly aren't going to be able to get the spot?
Yeah, I do agree with Jacob on that. There's way too many quarterbacks on the list.
Yeah.
Way too many. Looking back, like that's absurd amount. Like it's been like those players that have 2 positions, like the QB, wide receiver. I think that they should focus more on trying out full wide receiver position than the QB, because they stand a way better chance than going against Hoosh.
How many players did you say are on that list?
10.
What?
60.
The 60?
Yeah.
You should. I mean, and this is just my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm just saying there's too many quarterbacks on the list.
There's too many people on the list. That's a lot of people. I mean, granted, you want the best of the best, and you want to be able to evaluate. It's a lot to look at, though.
Hey, I'm just hoping. Shout out to Bobo, David Price. I'm just hoping he makes the team, man.
Yeah, you just watched him in the show. That's all you did.
Yeah, I 100% did. And you know what? I'm not even ashamed of that. I really hope he makes it, man, because that guy has more heart and more passion than probably anybody on that. That guy is like, I hope he makes it, man. I really do. I really, really do. I cannot wait for those announcements to come out to see of those teams, because I am looking really forward to seeing who makes the team.
Yeah. Well, so moving on. That's definitely, Dean, your opinion on one player. This other position I want to talk about is rush, and we'll do this real quick. But I just want to say that as far as the rusher position goes, I feel like because of how international plays, there's no mobile quarterbacks. So why even waste a position on a rusher? That's my opinion, and I'm a former rusher. So, Dean, what do you think about that statement?
I mean, it is an important position, right? Like, you still have to have a rusher. Like, I don't care whether you have a mobile quarterback or not. It's still going to put pressure on the quarterback to throw the ball.
Why? Well, hold on. For what purpose if they're not going to move and you've got the best DBs and safety in the world.
Yeah,
All
because
you got to do is get.
you put pressure on a quarterback, they can make bad throws, interceptions, stuff like that. I still think that if you don't send a rush, or if you don't have to send a rush, it gives a quarterback a lot more confidence in the backfield, and I think the rush disrupts that. You send a rush to the quarterback, you're gonna get inside his head. He's gonna make bad throws. He's gonna throw interceptions. I think it's definitely a psychological game, and I think a rush is a big part of that. So I absolutely think you need a rush position in a team, whether the quarterback's mobile or not. It's just more of a psychological thing.
You gonna say something, Jacob? I was giving you your moment.
Give any person 5 seconds to throw the ball, they're going to carve up even the best guys.
Okay.
You've got to put pressure. Give Dean 5 seconds in the pocket, he's going to dice up everybody.
Yeah. No, I'll probably tear my ACL, and that'll be the end of it.
Jeez.
Okay, so I'm just going to throw names out there. Don't you think Tone could get back to an immobile quarterback within 3 or 4 seconds?
Yeah.
Okay, and so he's somebody that can play any position. So instead of
Who?
Tone.
Who?
You never heard of him? Why are you saying that?
There must be an owl in here.
Okay.
Anyways, continue on.
All right, let me mention somebody else, I guess, because you don't want me. How about Laval? Isn't he fast enough to get back? Okay, so he is a wide receiver. Yeah, he is a wide receiver. But on this rush, wouldn't you rather have him who can? Anytime that George and Pat want him to run a go route, he is going to beat anybody internationally. Wouldn't you want that possibility and then also have him rush?
He made the team last year.
Yes, I get that. But I'm saying now that we have all this list with all these receivers, maybe one of the wide receivers that missed out, for example, in the documentary, Sean Moore didn't make the team. He is a phenomenal wide receiver.
Okay.
Is Laval probably faster than him? Maybe in the rush position?
Yeah.
So
he also doesn't work. He's not with Jimmy John's being freaky fast.
So why not give Laval the rush position so that another receiver can be on the team?
Because they already have a rusher.
Yeah.
Who's the rusher?
It was Michael Better last year.
Oh, okay.
King, of course.
But with Michael Better, I would say that he probably can't beat somebody else out in another position. He can't play quarterback over Hoosh, right?
Why not?
No.
You think?
We're gonna say no. We're gonna move on. No. Next question.
And do you think that he could play wide receiver over Pablo?
Why not?
Nope. Next question.
Have you ever heard the story? Have you ever heard the story of the little engine that could?
Okay.
You can't just
the little engine that could.
Yeah, right. We're talking about flag football, Dean. Obviously, it's not a train. But you can't count anybody out on any day.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It just sounded good.
You're just throwing sayings at me now.
Look, man. Sometimes the juice just isn't worth the squeeze. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very true. I don't know. I'm just glad that we're not in George and Pat's position. They have a hard job ahead of them.
Yes, they do.
For sure. I could probably, if I put it in, sat down, I could think of the 12 people that I thought would be best, but I'm not going to have the next 3 days to sit back and watch and decide. Best of luck to all these guys. I know that it is going to be grueling. I remember, and this has no comparison at all, but in my own life, trying out for high school sports, the pressure that I felt at 15 years old. Now, thinking about the pressure of trying to make a national team. 3 days of just knowing that you're being watched by the coaches of the national team and scouts and all of that. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. And I'm sure that there are guys that show up and they struggle because of that pressure. It's very different from playing, in a tournament in Houston, Texas, compared to being in front of the national team coaches. So that being said, let's move over to the women's, lineup. Dean, I know you said you got lots to say about this. You got lots of experience in the in watching and everything like that. So I want to start with the rush position. Okay, and it's a little different. There's not as many players that are listed as rush. We have we have seven players. Um, I think in general, I would say again to me as a former rusher, I feel like anybody could take that spot. I don't think it's like if we're looking at like this big gap between Hoosh and everybody else, I would say as far as the women's rusher goes, anybody could have it. Anybody's that's listed, the 7 players. I think that's going to be a really hard position for the coaches to decide. Dean, any thoughts on the rush position?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, being able to ref pro division in Tampa, I got to see quite a few pro players, and some of them on this list right now. And from what I've seen, I mean, Valerie's damn good, very very good. So I mean, if I were to pick someone who would get the rush position on that team, I mean, I know she's listed as rush wide receiver, but if you're gonna go with the rush, I mean, she's an absolute beast, right? So,
Yeah.
I I'd go with Valerie.
Yeah, no, I think and Valerie, she's definitely played for a bit. I think she is a very talented, fast rusher. The current rusher, on last year's national team, Addie, she's very fast. Nancy Wynn coming from California, and so yeah, I think all in all, that's gonna be a tough position, and I guess those are the things that they have to factor into it. I think ultimately with coaches, they have to decide: can this player do more? Can they do more than one thing? What do they bring to the table? Are they a good team player? There's all those aspects of it. So finally, just to talk about the QB position on the women's team. I have my thoughts, but Dean, I want to give you the chance to share yours first.
All right, so this apologize if I hurt any feelings in advance to this, but this has been the topic that I've been waiting for. So I think absolute no disrespect to Vanita, she's great, she's a great QB, but I believe it's time out with the old and in with the new. I think if there's a time to change is now. And I 100% think that Lacey should be QB1 for the women's team. She worked her ass off. I mean, I watched her. I got to ref the women's 7 pro in Tampa, and she was just, I mean, the dimes that she was throwing, the accuracy, the passing, it just the movement in the pocket. It's time, and I really really hope that the coaches, like, this comes back to what we were saying with the name of the person versus talent. I think that this year it 100% should be Lacey at QB1. Again, no disrespect to Vanita, but I think her time is done. And I think now's the time where you start to look at building a future for the team. And I think Lacey is that future at QB1.
Yeah, so this is when I talk about the youth. This is a position where heavy in youth. You got Ava, you got Marley, Macy, Caitlin Jewell, Brianna Hernandez Silva, Valentina, Leah Cruz. They are all under 25. And so, yeah, absolutely. Lacey is talented. I do think that she, just like Jacob was talking about how Hoosh, he was center and rush, and he did his time. He earned his spot. Lacey made it to the top 18 last year. She was right on the edge. Now, I guess my confusion, if I were sitting down with the coaches right now, my question would be, why did you pick Macy over Lacey? That would be my question. I can understand as far as Benita goes, there is a resume there. And she ultimately has only lost to Mexico one time. And she
Absolutely.
internationally, she's won every other game. But at some point, there has to be a transition. And so why did that transition last year kind of look in the direction of Vanita to Macy? Whereas the year before, it was Vanita and Marley were on the team. And so there's those differences. Now I feel like Lacey now, for a couple years now, has really established her as a top-notch quarterback. Is she in a place where maybe it's not this year, but she gets in the top 12? I don't know. But I would say, there is some youth in the quarterback position. Ava, everyone's been waiting for her to, kind of go from junior team to the women's team. She had her, I think last year was her first go at it. I think, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
It was.
last year was her first. Yeah, last year was her first go. So now she's going again. She just recently won, the first ever National Player of the Year in flag football. She's off to college, all of that, and she balled out in Tampa. So, Bean, I completely respect the fact that you think, okay, Lacey, in your opinion, Lacey is more talented than Benita. I want to say that I just think the position is wide open, and I really think that it needs to just be who balls out over the next 3 days.
Exactly, absolutely, and I 100% agree with that. It's who's gonna have the best performance this weekend that should determine who's gonna be the QB1 going forward. And I 100% agree with that. And it should be who has the better performance.
Yeah. Jacob, any thoughts?
Nope.
Fair enough.
I think honestly, it's simple. It comes down to who has the better weekend. It doesn't matter what people have done in the past. It shouldn't, at least. Every year
Absolutely.
they're supposed to walk in with a fresh slate. If you look at resumes, as long as Vanita's able to keep producing, you can't turn her away. I think as far as on the women's side, for me, Ava's shown the most, progression over the last, 4 or 5 years. When the time to hand the torch, to somebody else, I think it's her. But then again, it comes back to who has a better weekend, who has the better time in camp and trials and all that good stuff for them. So that's where I'll leave it at. I don't think anyone, I don't get into the comparing,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna
No,
say
for sure.
the coaches, mad respect to them because they have both the men's and the women's coaches have an incredibly tough decision this weekend.
Yeah.
It is looking at this list of receivers. I mean, obviously there are some players that you can guarantee are gonna be on the team, should be a guarantee.
Who? Name them.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want
Who
to
do
say
you think? Yeah.
Izzy?
Okay.
Isabella is absolute it's an art form watching her play. It's insane.
Okay. Let me ask you this
She
though,
makes
dude.
one-handed catches look easy, and
What about
it's just
two-handed
Okay.
catches?
well, she always catches them with one, so I've never seen two-handed catches.
And Dean, to be clear, I do agree with you. I think Izzy is absolutely she balls out as a wide receiver. But what you just did was bring up her resume of why she should get the spot. So does she not have to ball out this weekend?
No, she has to. Jacob, resume shouldn't mean much. I mean, obviously, you can't not look at her resume. But if she has a horrible weekend, then it's gonna factor. Obviously, it's gonna factor into the coach's decision because let's say if she has an off weekend and just looking at the list, pick a random receiver. Why is this so hard? Alexandria balls out, or someone balls out that is, that surpasses her. It doesn't affect the coach's decision. Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I guess my only point, Dean, is you were very adamant that like, okay, in the quarterback position, resume shouldn't matter anymore. Da, da, da. So why is Benita's resume less important than Izzy's? Because you just said Izzy is guaranteed a spot.
Interesting.
What kind of noise was that?
I have no idea. That was
the Cayman
I'm gonna
sex
shut up
call.
now and admit that I just caught myself in the trap. But oh well. Yeah, I don't.
I'll say
resumes-
this is keep it simple. Your resume gets you in the door. Your consistency keeps you in the door.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say, Dean, I think everybody's resume matters. You would love to just say, okay, everyone shows up and everyone's on a clean slate. Everybody's resume matters because that's what got it. Just like you said, Jacob, that's what got them in the door. So they are there because of their resume. So that's always good. There's no way that any human being could just forget what Benita has done internationally. There's no way that they could forget what Izzy or Madison has done over the last couple of years. It's going to factor into it. Of course, familiarity. Jacob, you said as far as, you brought up Nico. Yeah, Nico made it to the top 18. And so there's that familiarity that other players don't have. And that's just what it comes down to. Going back to when I was trying out for a high school sport as a freshman, the coaches did not know me at all. And so I had to, not only did I have to perform as good as other people, I had to perform better than the seniors if I wanted to get a job or I wanted to get a spot on the team.
So let me rephrase it then. There are players this weekend that should be assuring. And Izzy and Maddie are definitely two of them. But then again, it's the talent that what they can produce in the next 3 days that's going to determine that. So that's a better phrasing, Ant, when you're trying to next time. So there are players that should be a lock, but obviously their performance this weekend is going to determine whether they are or not.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, and ultimately, I love having these conversations. I love being able to talk about my opinions. Just like the fact that I think Mexico or Canada is going to beat the United States over the next couple of years, which is very unpopular. I also think that if I put together a 12 member women's team, 12-member men's team, people would disagree with me completely. But hey, ultimately, I'm not the one making the decisions. I'm just somebody that happens to have a voice. And I won't shy away from it. If anybody wants to ask me a question, I will definitely answer it. But that being said, I think we're getting close to the end of the night. But Dean, any other thoughts you want to say about trials or Cayman Island stuff coming up or anything else going on?
No, man. I think it's just gonna be a very interesting weekend. I can't wait to see what the coaches decide and who makes the team. I think this weekend, tomorrow is week 5. Obviously, we're at a different stadium tomorrow, so it should be fun. We got another pretty decent primetime matchup. It's the Bird versus a new sponsor. Well done, but they're kind of on and off, on and then off again. It was the same team that the quarterback thought he was winning in week 1 and let the clock run out. So that it's gonna
That was the most menacing laugh ever.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much obvious I could have made it. I held my clock up and I was like 10, 9, 8, 7, and I was like pointing to my button. I'm like, dude, you want a timeout or not? I was like 6, 5, 4, and he's like, no, let it run. And I'm like, okay, game over. That's it. You lose. And I'm like, how do you? The clock ran out.
Dean, which of the 7 dwarfs would you be in Snow White?
What a random question. I'll probably be happy.
Okay.
All right, fair enough. To build off of that question, what's your favorite midnight snack, Dean?
Bill tongue.
No.
No, that's got to give heartburn at 1 a.m.
Probably an Uncrustable.
Strawberry or grape? Hold on. Strawberry or grape?
Strawberry.
Okay. All right. You're not a terrorist.
Strawberry. But I will say those peanut butter and grape jelly sandwiches that Sonia made at Worlds were pretty damn good.
You're just jealous you didn't get one, Ant.
Yeah, I am.
They were really good. No, but I think honestly, like, obviously I didn't get on soon enough to do my Tampa rundown, but I love Tampa. Without obviously, thank you, Jacob, for bringing me on to USA Flag, because it's been a great time, and it was just reffing. Like, the talent that I got to officiate this year was insane, and it's always appreciated that I ref at Worlds, so I can't wait for next year. I look forward to it.
I don't know why.
Hopefully,
I'm not gonna be there, but
hopefully, Jacob, I make San Diego. Obviously, Vegas would have been on my list, but my passport's not yet, and I don't think it's going to be in time, or else I would have been at Vegas for sure. But San Diego is next on the list, so let's see what it'll be my first time to San Diego. I've never been, so it should be fun.
You're not missing anything.
Cool. Yeah.
Does it rain there as well?
It does.
Yeah.
It does rain there. The sun does shine there. It does have the moon come out in the evenings there. They do get normal weather patterns there.
What is Jacob? What does San Diego mean?
It's the land of a whale's
vagina.
He said it, not me.
Yeah.
All right, wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah, Dean, we'll see you later, man.
Appreciate you, Dean.
Later, bud. Ciao, bye.
Oh my gosh, what did I do?
Wait, just
Hi, everyone.
Oh.
Hold on, I gotta leave.
And that double D doozy was brought to you by Tacky Bar.
Man, we didn't even mention Tacky Bar. Shout out to Tacky Bar.
I just did mention it. That was our Tacky Bar moment of the night.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Jacob, tell everybody where you can find Clocks Running.
You can find Clocks Running everywhere. We're on YouTube, Instagram, MySpace, Your Space. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple Podcasts. If you use something else, there's probably another place we are that we just don't know about. We're anywhere where you can get your podcasts. So be sure to check us out. The best place to see us, see our ugly mugs, see Ant take both of us off the screen and only leave Dean on there to have his Merlot and Bill tongue, is on YouTube. You know, you can watch the full episode, see us, how we interact and everything. It's so much better than listening to it. But hey, you do what you got to do. We got merch, we've got hoodies, we've got t-shirts, we got some chill refs. We've got everything. The hoodies still look dope. So just hit us up about that. We'll be glad to get you hooked up. And if there's, am I forgetting anything?
No, I think that's everything. And hey, we're always looking for guests, officials, directors, players. If you're involved with flag football, if you're a vendor for flag football, come on the show. We don't bite.
Hard. Pause.
So, DM the Instagram. It's Clocks_running, and reach out to us. I know. Hey, we have a guy that runs a team out of Hawaii. He wants to come on the show. We're gonna get him on. We want to cover the entire, the whole wide world of flag football. So reach out to us, and we'll see you next week, right, Jacob?
Well, yeah, I guess.
I guess. All right, man.
See you.